Lovely good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. On tonight's main news, let's now look at some of the top stories making the news. The LUSAKA Magistrate Court acquits former ZAF commander from criminal charges. A Catholic priest comment on poverty annoys the United Party for National Development. MALOLE lawmaker arrested for car theft as PF claim political prosecution. In international headlines, Tunisian journalists protest in Tunis over press freedom. And in sports, Real Madrid report racist abuse incident on Vinicius to prosecutors as hate crime. We have the details of these headlines shortly after this message.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for joining us once again to present the news. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe, and now the news in detail. Lasford Sinyangwe, an adolescent living with HIV, has shared with Camnet News that HIV is not a death sentence but an opportunity to live life differently. Sinyangwe, who got HIV through mother-child transmission, has urged young people to seek counseling services when diagnosed with HIV to know how to live a positive but healthy life. He says being HIV positive is not an excuse to be promiscuous and start infecting others with the virus. He says organizations like the Development Aid of People to People, DAP, have been playing a huge role in helping young people to realize their full potential despite being HIV positive. Here's a report.
About 1.3 million people in Zambia live with HIV. As of the year 2021, the country recorded 38,000 new HIV infections, of which adolescents accounted for about 40%. Inasmuch as the country has made progress in addressing the HIV pandemic, more still needs to be done in enforcing HIV-responsive interventions. And certainly, young people continue to be at risk. Lasford Sinyangwe is an adolescent who lives in Lusaka and got infected through transmission from mother to child, as he shares his story with Camnet News.
I was 11 years old. That's when I discovered that I was HIV positive, but I was taking my drugs even way before I knew to say I was HIV positive. And unfortunately, nobody came to disclose to me, or not even my family members or my sisters, but I just discovered it on my own through the facility. I needed to see a good in being HIV positive. And that good was, it made me know, it introduced me to many people, and I joined the support group at Chipaka's Hospital, and that really impacted me a lot to know to say, okay, I'm not the only one who is HIV positive, or I'm not the only one living with HIV. And for me, that was a plus because it gave me confidence, it boosted my self-esteem, and I was able to just, be free and say, okay, wow, this is me, this is who I am.
It says being HIV positive is not a prerequisite to be promiscuous and start infecting others with the virus. He underscored the need to improve adolescent health service provision in health facilities and communities.
need for every facility to have a friendly space whereby a young person can go there. When they go there, then they access any service that they want, because they'll be talking to their fellow peer. That way they won't even be stigmatized or discriminated in any way.
He adds that organizations like the Development Aid of People to People, DAPP, play a huge role in helping young people to realize their potential despite being HIV positive.
Support there. We've been having a lot of organizations like DAP, for example. They bring support in our group, whereby they will help us with something. Maybe they bring clothes, and we have that, that empowerment of saying, okay, let's showcase our skills. We just make face masks, reusable face masks, make donuts, and if we want to just use them, or if we want to sell them, and that's just an empowerment on our part as young people.
Jabez Kayanda is the DAPP Resource Mobilization Officer.
Mental health for the young people, it means that they will know about sustaining themselves, those who are HIV positive, and are able to live longer because they will deal with their situation, and they will understand that if my friend is living positively, what about myself? So those are services which we are providing to these young people. Some they are running like goat farming, some they are doing gardening, some they are doing different activities in the communities where they are.
During the Media Science Cafe in Lusaka, we also spoke to Ministry of Health spokesperson Dr. Kalangwa on what they are doing to improve adolescent health service provision in the country.
So we can't do anything for adolescents without the adolescents themselves. So this is one of the strategies that we're doing, and we really want to make sure that we raise the fight against HIV in adolescents, because data actually shows that we had quite a lot of new infections among that age group.
Well, it is true that HIV is no longer a death sentence, but an opportunity to live life differently and healthy. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia has urged the United Party for National Development administration to develop a mode of communication that will ensure that ordinary citizens understand its messages. In an interview, EFZ Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda says while it acknowledges that the UPND government has made progress during its time in office so far, its messages can only be understood by the elite. Meanwhile, the bishop says the church expected the current administration to handle many matters during the president's engagement with the media on the 18th of May 2023, among them the high cost of living in the country. More in this report.
The ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, has been highly criticized by opposition political parties for allegedly failing to fulfill its promises to the Zambian people, and the ruling party has, through various media platforms, been laboring to explain its achievements made so far. The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, through its Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda, says the current administration needs to develop a people-based approach of communication, stating that while it has made progress, the UPND is failing to effectively communicate its message. The bishop has also called for unity ahead of African Freedom Day on 25th May 2023, while urging the UPND to address pertinent issues in the country, among them the high cost of living.
Rivalry will always be there because these are, or political parties are different opinions. That's what it means. Rivalry means that if there's political kind of opinions on how the country must be run, there will be rivalry. Just like it's in a home, you will have a husband and a wife, they may not agree. But that does not mean they can't live together. They will have to live together. So I can say to you that as far as we're concerned, the speech of the president was good, but it passed on the heads of the people. But let me just say this, that we as EFZ expected the president to cover. We expected the government or the president to deal on the issue and share with us the direction the government is taking on Mopani and KCM. It's an issue that must not continue. We don't know. They have not given us the fullness of what really is the legal issue which is standing in between here, what is happening. No, but at least they must give the nation what's happening with KCM and Mopani. Number two is we expected the government and the president in particular, through whichever way he could have done it, to share with us on the gold discovery, particularly here in Northwestern Province and some of the provinces, how it can find a way to legally begin to benefit the citizens of Zambia.
Meanwhile, speaking on the same, the Governance, Elections, Advocacy, Research Services GEARS initiative, through its advisory council chairperson Lakson Lungu, has also added its voice on governance issues.
From the president's speech, we could see that indeed government has taken some time to ensure a positive outlook for our economy. And we understand that if that positive outlook is sustained, then we as a country are likely to see the benefits accruing to the people and thereby making the lives of the people better.
He states that the current administration should be commended for its willingness to engage with the Zambian people and for its progress made so far. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development Religious Affairs Committee has challenged the church in Zambia to offer sound alternatives to the current administration as opposed to what they have termed as playing politics in church. UPND Religious Affairs Committee Chairperson Reverend William Njombo has criticized Father Anthony Salangeta of Regina Pacis Catholic Church in Chawama, who on Sunday allegedly stated that vulnerable citizens need food and not graph explanations. Father Salangeta was making reference to President Hakainde Hichilema's use of graphs during his press briefing on 18th of May 2023, indicating how the country's economy is improving under his leadership. Details are in this report.
The use of graphs by the head of state during his engagement with the media on 18th May 2023 has sparked a lot of debate in the country, with some stakeholders stating that this is important as it gives a clear picture of how the economy is performing, and others indicating that a large population of uneducated citizens were not considered as they could not follow. Others still have been indicating that many citizens are only interested in affording food and not in technical explanations of how well the economy is performing, the likes of Father Anthony Salangeta of Regina Pacis Catholic Parish in Chawama, who allegedly made the sentiments on Sunday during mass service.
GDP, Millennium Development Goals, Zambia will reach Sapchan. Zambia reaching Amasapuang. Narumba ma graph. Kwa misi graph, kwa misi ruto shigawamage. Kwa misi kutiafiu. Kwa jan ruto shigawamage. Ulipate mwarelu. Kwisa parish, not wo graph. No.
The ruling United Party for National Development UPND, through its Religious Affairs Committee Chairperson Reverend William Njombo, has responded to the sentiments.
Those poor people, every other Sunday, they come to church with gifts in form of food, foodstuffs, cooking oil, meal, eggs, goats, and all those things are presented and given to the priests, and they live on that. Why should the same priest in turn, turn and castigate or say these people are poor, and why should and blame government for it? I think rather than look to government for everything, we must know that as Christians and as clergymen and women, we have a responsibility to help our congregants, to encourage them, to inculcate the spirit of hard work, the spirit of investment, to inculcate the spirit of working together to ensure that we can reverse poverty in this country, and not to go to the pulpit and put a blame on a leadership that is doing so much to reverse the poverty levels in this country have. So
he has advised the church to show leadership through offering sound advice and not what he has termed as playing politics. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Police have charged and arrested Robert Kayela Kalimi, aged 53, of Silver Rest area in Lusaka for the offense of theft of a motor vehicle contrary to the laws of Zambia. The suspect, who is also a member of parliament for MALOLE constituency, is alleged to have sold the motor vehicle belonging to a woman only identified as Kitenge of Ndola. The motor vehicle was given to the suspect after an agreement with the brother to the complainant for temporary use only, as he was working on the suspect's vehicle, which was involved in a road traffic accident last year. And now the lawmaker allegedly decided to sell the vehicle to a man only identified as Msakanya of Lusaka at 60,000 kwacha. The actual value of the motor vehicle is said to be 449,000 kwacha. And now Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale confirmed that the matter was reported to police by the complainant, and immediately investigations were instituted, which led to the recovery of the vehicle from Mr. Msakanya, who after interrogations disclosed that he bought the vehicle from the parliamentarian in March this year. He says the suspect is detained in police custody, awaiting a court appearance.
Police have charged and arrested Robert Kayela Kalimi, aged 53, of Silver Rest area in Lusaka for the offense of theft of motor vehicle, contrary to Section 281 of Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. The suspect, who is also a member of parliament for MALOLE constituency, is alleged to have sold the motor vehicle VW GTI Golf registration number BCC 6524 belonging to a woman only identified as Kitengi of Ndola. The motor vehicle was given to the suspect after an agreement with the brother to the complainant for temporary use only, as he was working on the suspect's vehicle, which was involved in a road traffic accident last year. The member of parliament allegedly decided to sell the said vehicle to a man only identified as Musakanya of Lusaka at 60,000 kwacha. The actual value of the motor vehicle is said to be 449,000 kwacha. The matter was reported to police by the complainant, and immediately investigations were instituted, which led to the recovery of the vehicle from Mr. Msakanya, who after interrogations disclosed that he bought the vehicle from Honorable Kalimi in March this year. The suspect is detained in police custody awaiting court appearance.
Meanwhile, Opposition Patriotic Front officials led by party acting president Given Luvinda visited the MALOLE constituency lawmaker, who has been arrested by police and is detained at Kabwata police station. The PF feels the arrest is tantamount to political victimization.
And we know that this is just politics at play. But I would like to assure the people of Malole that your member of parliament shall not be left alone. We are working round the clock to make sure that Robert Kalimi does not spend more hours than are necessary in Kabwata police. We're working hard, very happy that 2 members of parliament have presented their letters to provide surety to Robert Kalimi. And we are hopeful that within the next hour, Robert Kalimi will be given his liberty, will be given his freedom, so that he goes to answer these issues in court. We have been advising him. We also advised him against making all these international travels. A man has been in State House for 20 months only, and yet he has made more trips abroad than Edgar Lungu made in 5 years. What is he looking for? He's calling himself the chief marketing officer. Where are the ambassadors? If he himself is chief marketing officer and he will go to every country where there's a foreign trip, he must remove those ambassadors, bring them back to Zambia, because he wants to be ambassador. We give him alternatives, but he doesn't listen. Now, the time is here. People will start to ask him those questions. Time for reckoning has come.
Soya beans from the poor farmers. My heart bleeds where I'm standing. Honorable Mwambande, Honorable. Look, we struggled. We suffered as PF to make people diversify from growing maize. For a long time, farmers in Zambia knew peasant farmers only knew that growing maize was the way to go. But we went down to the grassroots and told them, look, you can make money out of soybeans. And the production of soybeans has gone up. In fact, tripled since we started that program as PF. Now that the people have bought in the growing of soybeans, you go and tell FRA not to stop. And you say you are a president leading a country. Insonye wuntu. Kabiye nweshita soybeans kubantu.
6.1 billion kwacha. Okay, in 2022. Probably this is why DEC is now being destabilized, so that those people who are in that FIC report cannot be followed up properly. I did predict that even FIC itself is going to be destabilized, because I have believed beyond reasonable doubt that the audit office is suffering purely because government does not want to be exposed because of the corruption happening at Ministry of Tourism, corruption happening at Ministry of Finance, corruption happening at Ministry of Agriculture. As a matter of fact, we have seen a PS who has refused to tender documents for audit purposes, which has never happened. It's unconstitutional, but the president doesn't appear to be annoyed about all that.
A senior immigration officer has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that Lusaka businessman Harry Findlay allegedly forged a stamp which showed that he exited the country using Mochinji border, Malawi. Frank Mijelo, an arresting officer in the matter, has also told Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya how his investigation revealed that the accused was in possession of 4 valid passports and he would use them interchangeably. This is in a matter in which Mr. Findlay is facing 2 counts of holding more than 1 passport and being in possession of endorsements of forged immigration stamps. Meanwhile, Mr. Findlay has applied for his passport to be released in order to facilitate his movement to travel abroad for medical treatment. Details are in this report.
A Lusaka businessman, Harry Findlay, has made another attempt of applying before court for his passport to be released to enable him travel abroad for medical treatment. Previously, Mr. Findlay, who is also former President Edgar Lungu's associate, had made an application before Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya through his lawyers, requesting the court to order for the release of his passport to facilitate his travel abroad for medical treatment. His plea was denied, as the magistrate said she had no authority to make such a directive, considering the fact that the passport was not in custody of the court and had not been issued as evidence. Monday, the 22nd of May 2023, the accused has made another similar application on ground that now the passport have been tendered as evidence before court. Earlier, a senior immigration officer told Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya that Mr. Findlay forged a stamp which showed that he left the country using Machinchi border, Malawi. Frank Michelo, an arresting officer in the matter, has also told Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya how his investigation revealed that the accused was in possession of 4 valid passports and he would use them interchangeably. In this matter, the state accuses Mr. Findlay of acquiring a Zambian passport on the 3rd of October 2022, purporting to have lost the one he had obtained earlier. Mr. Findlay is alleged to be in possession of 4 passports which are valid. He is also accused of being found in possession of endorsement of forged immigration stamps for Mwami Immigration Border Control in his passport, purporting that it was officially endorsed when in fact not. The matter stands adjourned. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Still in court news, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has ruled that former Zambia Air Force Commander Eric Chimese is not the owner of the properties in Ibex Hill and Lilai area in Lusaka that the state had deemed to be the proceeds of crime. Magistrate Nsunge Chanda, who has acquitted Chimese, has found that the prosecution has failed to prove that Chimese and James Chungu, the director of Chita Lodge, concealed property, and there is no evidence to show that the property in question belongs to Mr. Chimese. Magistrate Chanda has also acquitted Mr. Chungu. This was in a matter in which the duo was accused of concealing property, money laundering, and abuse of authority. More in this report.
Okay, good.
It was a joyful occasion for the Chimese clan after the former Zambia Air Force commander Eric Chimese and his co-accused James Chungu, the director of Cheetah Lodge, were pronounced innocent by the Lusaka Magistrate Court from an allegation of abuse of authority, money laundering, among other charges that the state had accused them of. 5 years of appearing before court on accusation that he abused his authority by engaging ZAF employees to construct properties that he was accused of owning during his tenure as ZAF commander, Chimese has finally been set free. The former ZAF commander, alongside Cheetah Lodge director James Chungu, are now free, as the state has failed to provide enough evidence before court to prove the allegations against them.
Well, I just thank God that it's been a long time for sure, and I guess I just need to go home and rest. Obviously, it's difficult having gone through this for 5 years and make a comment over such a long period, and it's difficult.
Are you taking an action against the state?
No comment. No comment.
I say God bless you. Okay, that is okay. Let's love one another. We are one people. It's okay. God bless you, guys. Go forward. You know, as Zambians, let's love one another. Let's work together. Be with this country. May I just create employment? There's nothing that I've done that is out.
The duo was arrested in 2019 by the Drug Enforcement Commission and slapped with abuse of authority of office, concealing property and money laundering charges relating to properties in Ibex Hill and Lilai area in Lusaka. The state had accused the duo of concealing and disguising the right ownership of the 9 flats, a single-story building, 1 guest wing, and 1 semi-detached cottage situated in Ibex Hill, knowing or having reasonably to believe that the said property were proceeds of crime. The state had claimed that the said properties belonged to the former ZAF commander. However, delivering judgment this morning, Monday, the 22nd of May 2023, Magistrate Sunge Chandas found that the prosecution has failed to prove that the duo concealed property and that there is no evidence to show that the property in question belonged to Mr. Chimese. The court has established that the property in question belonged to Cheetah Lodge. Unsatisfied with the judgment delivered by the court, the state has informed of its decision to appeal against it.
I've been telling them they're saying it's not your
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Away from the court stories, confusion has erupted in Chilenje's Mapoloto area of Lusaka after a 24-year-old man identified as Chama Njovu was allegedly set ablaze and locked in his own house by a group of people for unclear reasons. According to his grandmother, Christine Chilonda, the young man who died Sunday morning at the University Teaching Hospital, UTH, from the burns, allegedly rejected a love proposal from a group of people suspected to be gay, leading to a confrontation and the said incident. Irate community members have vowed mob justice on anyone suspected to be part of the LGBTQ+ community, while police say they are investigating the matter. We have details by Zipporah Mshala.
At only 24, Chama Njovu, a shopkeeper of Mapoloto area in Lusaka's Chilenje township, is a victim of an alleged misunderstanding that occurred between him and a group of known people within the community Saturday night, leading to him being burnt in his own house. Relatives of the deceased report that a wrangle ensued Saturday night in the same community after he allegedly denied a gay love proposal, which led to a confrontation and the victim being burnt alive in his own house. According to his relatives, the victim died Sunday morning at the University Teaching Hospital, UTH.
Lelo twaluza abantu osabachosa boma yanganepo basachoke na beve bafunika na beve baende kwa mena kwaenda chama mwana kali ngono mwana mwana lero enda monga nkumba apya mubiri wose wamachituba abazobona. I just want justice to prevail for these people, please. Government yanganepo bali vamevashtika pali mwana chani wa maningi atidotespesa na pamija shukacha impa ya mwana huyo sana pepwino kulungu wanga please angane pali mozi na mina katabu kwa njai kulungu abayangane amvera che vintu point kama namvera first do ya lira pa first tikapina depo ya bwera mwini ningali ngoni ngaine ninze goni so by the time kuti namomvera futi vintu vamuchati popo waona mungati muntu wakwanya vintu ndipena ngara force manje kutoka manje nitoke ndipena ona muri.
This is not something that community members have taken lightly.
Mwina wake abwera bamflashing ya lights. Pero flashing ya lights achoke munjira ati bapite na unokudaba moto ya paka kusogoro kwake bamba kumucha na bana muchaira kapa bana mtenga banda kumpeka mbama kapa bana bamtia na petro banaenda like for an hour again babwelera futhi batenga cha machezi kumubusha
tapapata mucho sema ge kuno konse in fact the whole Zambia mageba bachose chifukwa bambo tipaira bana ala amene yoge right ngati zona kuli muntu amene anayisaina mulungu azampanisha mulungu chifukwa mulungu mbible analesa kuti there will be no one who will be having kind of knowledge with a man to a man.
Chilenge Ward 8 Councillor Ruben Mwenya also added a word.
Somewhere around 0102 I think that young man was burnt alive with we're believing that he should have been a petrol bomb, something like that. Basically that is what happened. Currently this same gays or this group of people who have been identified as gays, they've been detained and awaiting investigations. We just want to assure the family to the deceased gentleman that justice will surely prevail.
According to Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale, a number of suspects are currently being held at Chilenge Police Station while investigations are ongoing. A number of community members have however called for sensitization in the community before innocent lives are lost. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You are still watching Camnet TV main news at 19:30. Just now we take our first commercial break. When we get back, we have more news.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The former and current Rwandan Refugees Association of Zambia has condemned and disassociated itself from the manufacturing of fake consumable products by suspected Rwandan nationals that have recently been seen in both public and private media outlets. Association spokesperson Jean Claude is appalled by the lack of concern about people's health safety in the pursuit of higher profits through unethical and criminal practices by suspected Rwandans who come into Zambia as investors. Mr. Claude appealed to the Rwandan embassy to clarify its position to these individuals who come into Zambia under the guise of direct foreign investment, yet are found engaging in unacceptable business practices. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security Commissioner for Refugees, Professor Prosper Ngandu, has held the association for distancing itself from engaging in illegal business activities. Professor Ngandu has stated that government will be left with no choice but to expel from the country any refuge or people of concern found abrogating the Zambian laws.
As an association registered and abide by the law, we have received the information of the Rwandan nationals engaged in manufacturing of fake drinks, sugar, whiskey, and cooking oil. The former and current Rwandan Refugees Association in Zambia, FOCURAS, wishes to strongly condemn and disassociate itself from manufacturing of fake consumables by suspected Rwandan nationals that recently have been shown in both public and private media outlets. The association, appalled by the lack of concern about people's health safety in the pursuit of higher profit through unethical and criminal practices by suspected Rwandan who come into Zambia as investors. The news and images seen on various television stations are not only disturbing, but also spoil the good image and the good relation that Rwanda refugees in Zambia have had with their Zambian host communities for close to 30 years. The association wishes to clarify to the Zambian public that not all Rwandese living in Zambia are of the same status. On one hand, there is a large group of Rwandans made up of genuine refugees who have sought asylum in this country since the early 90s.
Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba is estimating international tourist arrivals at 2 million by 2024, looking at the trend this year. Speaking after a delegation from the United Nations World Tourism Organization headquarters in Spain who are in the country for the Travel Hospitality Education Summit slated for the 22nd to 24th at Lusaka's Mulungushi International Center, the minister expressed happiness that the event is highly subscribed. He said a number of tourism projects that have been stored for a long time in the sector will be completed soon. And the UNWTO is impressed with how Zambia is mainstreaming tourism and wildlife conservation in education by engaging school-going children. UNWTO Regional Director for Africa, Mary Grandcourt, says it is important for the younger generation to be engaged in the promotion and conservation of nature because the future is in their hands. The UNWTO team is in the country ahead of the Travel, Hospitality and Tourism Education Summit, which opens in Lusaka tomorrow.
According to projects are coming from as well. 5%.
With the kids, and also a follow through. Obviously, the removal walk and the talk here, but afterwards, is there like a follow-up?
The vision that the Secretary General Zura Pululikashvili has in mainstreaming tourism education in the secondary level at the schools in order to be able to educate the youth more about the importance not only of tourism but conservation, and also to continue to promote this and also position Zambia as a key destination and in the promotion of the tourism sector as well as the conservation.
Yeah. Amazing. So these snares were actually collected in 2019.
The 1.5 million arrivals which we pledged last year in November looked so far-fetched in the beginning of the year, but from what we see, the number of conferences that we're having, the forthcoming COMESA Summit, which is coming next month from the 6th to the 8th of June, is yet another success story that we're talking about as Zambia. And I can safely tell you that 1.5 is going to change goalposts for me as Minister in charge of tourism. We're now looking at the 2 million, which has never been attained before in our country. But I still have my yardstick of 3 million arrivals by 2024.
The Civil Society Constitutional Agenda, CISCA, is urging President Hakainde Hichilema to commence the process of holding a national referendum to enshrine the progressive economic and social measures his government has introduced in the Bill of Rights. CISCA chairperson Judith Mulenga says they share the president's concern and fears of possible negotiations of such progressive measures if he is not present during his press briefing held on Thursday, 18th May 2023 at State House. And now, during the briefing, the head of state outlines that the free education he has reintroduced, the meal allowances for tertiary students, and the increased amount of social cash transfers could easily be overturned by another government or president. CISCA chairperson says while the organization commends the president and his government for putting in place measures to provide free education, health and social security is concerned are not unfounded considering the autonomous powers that the president has. Ms. Mulenga says President Hichilema must expedite the process of expanding the Bill of Rights to ensure that these measures are enshrined in the Constitution. She notes that without constitutional safeguards, it may appear like these measures are mere favors from the president, and he or another person may withdraw as and when they wish. You are still watching the main news on Camnet TV. Just now we take our second and last set of commercials. When we get back, we have the rest of the news in international and sports news. Do join us shortly.
On Monday, 22nd May 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, the NDC President, Madam Savoy Imboila.
For me, also, I'd like to urge the president, he should not support his ministers. When a case of corruption has been brought to the table, investigate, and that is why also from the onset, we've been condemning the fact that the SCC is under the president's office, because when it comes to the appeal process, the president should be the last person. But right now, the way it is, the president is the #1 person.
As they discuss Zambia's economy and pertinent issues
on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
On Monday, 22nd May 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, the NDC President, Madam Savoy Imboila.
For me, also, I'd like to urge the president, he should not support his ministers. When a case of corruption has been brought to the table, investigate, you know. And that is why also from the onset, we've been condemning the fact that the SCC is under the president's office, because when it comes to the appeal process, the president should be the last person. But right now, the way it is, the president is the number one person.
As they discuss Zambia's economy and pertinent issues
on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news in our international news. Dozens of Tunisian journalists have held a demonstration outside the El Gojani Police Research Department in Tunis in support of two journalists under investigation. The protesters, including one of the summoned journalists, denounced what they called attempts to stifle press freedom in the country. The summoning of the two journalists follows the use of anti-terrorism laws to increase to 5 years a jail term handed to Kalima, also at Moscow FM radio station, after he appealed a one-year sentence delivered in November. On Monday, two Tunisian students were detained after posting a satirical song on social media that criticized police and laws against drug use. Around 20 journalists are currently being prosecuted for their work. Several local and international rights groups and trade unions on Tuesday warned against the seriousness of the repressive direction of the current authorities and called on activities on activists and civil society to mobilize and defend freedoms and human rights. Here's a roundup of international news.
Dozens of Tunisian journalists have held a demonstration outside the El Gojani Police Research Department in Tunis in support of two journalists under investigation. The protesters, including one of the summoned journalists, Elias Gabi, denounced what they called attempts to stifle press freedom in the country. We are here because we are being reproached for certain remarks made in the program of May 15, 2023. These comments were, in our opinion, constructive comments. They are critical, of course, but constructive. Today, there is perhaps another reading on the part of the authorities. We will explain to the authorities that we are journalists, and as such, we have the right to criticize. As such, we criticize in a constructive spirit, and in a spirit where there is freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and we will defend this. The summoning of the two journalists follows the use of anti-terrorism laws to increase to 5 years a jail term handed to Kalima Gesmi, also at Mosaic FM radio station, after he appealed a one-year sentence delivered in November.
A farmer setting up a beehive between two trees in Kajira village in southern Kenya. He's not only doing it for the honey, While bees are important pollinators, it's also been found that elephants are terrified of them. The hive is going to act as a sort of fence to discourage foraging pachyderms from approaching his crops.
The problem with the elephants is that they will just eat 40% and 60% will just be distraction. So for an elephant to have 100% of its fill, it will have destroyed a lot. So we normally love the bees because they help us to protect the farmer.
When I was planting maize, I'd harvest only one bag, unlike sunflowers where I'd harvest around 3 to 4 tons. Sunflowers don't require much attention, as I don't have to watch out for elephants. These huge mammals need a lot of food, and as settlements encroach on their habitat, it creates conflict with their human neighbours. At Kajira village, which is near Tsavo National Park, elephant raids were frequent.
These places used to be habitats for wildlife, but now people are coming there to build houses, to farm. So this is blocking the migratory routes for elephants, leaving them with nothing but to come to these farms and cooperate.
But elephants need protecting too. It's estimated only some 400,000 of them are still left in the wild in Africa. It's hoped these bee fences will be a non-lethal way of diffusing the tension between them and humans.
It's been nearly 3 years since a white police officer put his knee on George Floyd's neck, asphyxiating the African-American man and sparking mass protest against racism and police violence in the United States. As the anniversary approaches, many, including George Floyd's aunt, Angela Harrison, look back at the unfortunate event to see if progress has been made.
And it's just wonderful to see. It's the awareness, it's the acknowledgement that systemic racism does exist. So people always ask, do you think it's getting better? Yes. Minneapolis have had six police officers convicted within 3 years. You know, one is a white female, and that never would have happened. That never would have.
Harrelson points to the conviction of the police officers involved in Floyd's death, the reforms in Minneapolis law enforcement and diversity programs at universities, but believes there's still more to be done.
20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, the goal is not to hold a sign that says Black Lives Matter. The goal is not to hold a sign that says Black Lives Matter. And until we can do that, and where we don't have to say Black Lives Matter, that's when we know we have arrived.
The May 25, 2020 killing was captured on film and went viral around the world. Protests erupted in at least 140 U.S. cities, with thousands of people taking to the streets against police violence.
It almost feels like we took 5 steps only for us to move 15 steps back. And even like I've been asking my friends and even my dad yesterday, what do you think? Like, do you think there has been change? And all of them are black, and all of them said no, like without even hesitation. So obviously positive things did happen in the moment, but it seems like with time it kind of erased and even went back than where we were initially.
The death of 46-year-old George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police affected many more people than Floyd himself. One of the bystanders who witnessed the murder is now suing the city for what he experienced on that fateful day.
Let's now look at sports news. The latest incident of racist abuse towards Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. has been reported to the Spanish prosecutor's office as a hate crime, the club says. Real's La Liga match at Valencia on Sunday was paused in the second half as an incensed Vinicius reported opposition fans to the referee. Following the match, in which the 22-year-old Brazil international was later sent off for violent conduct, he said La Liga belongs to racists. Real Madrid issued a statement on Monday stating that it considers that such attacks also constitute a hate crime. Spanish prosecutors will now decide whether to pursue a criminal investigation. Vinicius has been the target of racist abuse multiple times this season. La Liga said in a statement it would investigate and take appropriate legal action if a hate crime was identified, calling on people to submit any relevant footage. Valencia said police had identified a fan who made racist gestures and that the club are also working along with the police to confirm and identify of any other potential offenders. And we come to the end of the news, but before we go, we look at the headlines once again. The LUSAKA magistrate acquits former ZAF commander from criminal charges. A Catholic priest's comment on poverty annoys the UPND government. Malole lawmaker arrested for car theft as PF claim political prosecution. In international headlines, Tunisian journalists protest in Tunis over press freedom. And in sports, Real Madrid report racist abuse incident on VINICIUS to prosecutors as hate crime. We now look at the Camnet verse for today, coming from 1 Corinthians 1 verse 10. It reads, I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly united in mind and in thought. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Louisia Nalupumbwe. Bye for now. God bless.